Well, welcome to the start of this 49th Luge World Cup season, the latest step on what's been a really remarkable journey for this remarkable sport. We're in Wintenberg in Germany for the first of 9 World Cup weekends on 7 different routes in 4 countries. And this, of course, is an extra special year because it's an Olympic year as we head to Milan Cortina in February for 6 magical days, certainly in terms of the luge anyway. And of course they mean so much to this sport as it's really thrust into the global spotlight. Well, we're going to start today in Wintenberg with the mixed races, the doubles and then the singles, and then tomorrow we have the women's singles and the men's and women's doubles, that new Olympic event, before on Sunday we've got both runs of the men's singles and the brilliant fun of the team relay. That rounds things off. There is plenty to keep us busy, and they've done an unbelievable job with this course because we had to move at quite late notice from Eagles to Wintenberg. Wintenberg now hosting 2 events in this World Cup season, and what a job they've done to get things ready. The weather conditions not always ideal. The ice looks just about perfect. Now we head to the start area. We can see the athletes preparing the sleds, the teams around them, so crucial. And we're going to talk you through the dimensions of every single challenge that awaits our sliders. They are different, these challenges, depending on event. But as a base, let's remember that the men's singles course is 1,324 metres long and has a drop of 110 metres, featuring the famous Weltenskreisel, the labyrinth down at the bottom. They're going to simply rock it down there. And one thing that you really notice in terms of changes, not just with this sport, but with so many sports, is this dynamic stretching now. It becomes a very important part of things. In the old days, well, in the old days, athletes wouldn't have stretched, but now it's not just old-fashioned stretching, it's the dynamic stretching that many of you will be used to in gyms all around the world that gets the blood flowing through the muscles and gets these athletes ready, because they are athletes and it's going to be such a big challenge for them. It also made it through, no huge surprises. The Nations Cup not as testing as it can be. And in the women's doubles, Riedel and Lek, of course, one of 2 sets of sisters who go in women's doubles. They won, Lena and Anna. In this case, Anda Upita and Madara Pavlova. We're going to see them in the mix in a moment, along with Lena and Anna. Podolski and Allen of Canada, and Praksova and Spitsova of Slovakia, who we're going to see the very first run in these mixed doubles. They also made it through in the Nations Cup. Now then, let's take a look at Wintenberg and let's remind ourselves, silly though it might sound, remember, we're broadcasting here not just for all you luge fans, but for the uninitiated as well. This course isn't in isolation in a city. This goes down a steep mountain, 11 corners, as you can see, a drop of 110 meters. There is our start, and this is what lies in wait. There's that Weltenskreisel, the 270, and then they head down towards that labyrinth from turn 9. The speed picks up, the task becomes that much harder. And what we're going to be able to do is take a point of view look at the run that lies in wait before we can get things underway. And this is the point of view. In fact, I'm going to let this run for you so you just get an idea of the challenge that lies in wait for these athletes. You can see the kilometers per hour, and you can see the weight load as well, the G-force on these athletes. And let's just sit and watch and wonder really at what they do. So there you have it, the weather conditions, humidity 99%, 5.5 meters per second wind. The temperature is crucial, of course, and you can see those figures right there. So it is going to be the mixed doubles, look at that, as they continue to prepare this track. 970 meters, the length of this course, vertical drop of 9.8%, 11 curves on the doubles course. And here's our start list. Slovakia will get things underway, then Poland, then Latvia's second sled, followed by Austria 2, Romania and Ukraine. Latvia 1, then go Italy, Germany 2, Austria 1, and then Germany 1. Lovely atmosphere all around the place. The start of a season is always a good place to be. Last year, remember, as we moved to the men's singles on Sunday, Max Langenham was the name that absolutely dominated the men's event. Julia Taubitz, who goes later in the mixed event, Vendel and Alt, the men's doubles, and Egler and Kip, the women's doubles. They were our champions in the World Cup last season, and in Olympic year, people already talking about who the favourites are. Good to see a Dukla Prague top supporting the Czechs and indeed the Slovaks, who get things underway. Now, I'm delighted to say that with absolutely impeccable timing, the two-time Olympian Mark Hatton, who's going to be our guide throughout this campaign, is joining me, and perfect timing. We've seen the ice conditions, we've seen the glorious surroundings. Now we're seeing Tomas Vavacek and Matej Smee, who didn't finish at the event here in January. 11th they were after the first run, 15th in that Olympic test event, and they've got the honour mark of getting the season underway.
Absolutely, Dave. Vavacek and Smee, we've seen them slide a lot over the last few years. Very accomplished team from Slovakia. They're going to be paired with Praxova, Spitsova, these athletes from the High Tatra, the winter sports hotbed out in Slovakia. So to open up the proceedings for this massive Olympic season here in Winterberg.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that,
Vavacek,
about how big the Olympics make it, and we'll see Vavacek and Smee get underway. They're known, these two, for that dramatic run in Beijing when they had a terrible error, pretty much a crash, and still finished 13th. They've had Nations Cup wins as well, and Mark's going to talk us through this run and give us an idea of what we're looking out for.
That first tricky curve, curve 4, into 5-6 now. As we come into the Kreisel, this is a 270-degree curve. Really important for the athletes to carry as much speed. Now, the thing about Winterberg, it's kind of slow at the top, what we're seeing now, but as they go into 9 here, this is a signature curve on the course. It starts to get really exciting as they come to the entrance to the labyrinth. They're going to be hitting about 125 kilometers an hour here, just knocking onto Zeal curve. But as they go on that uphill section through the finish line, and crossing the finish line, hitting the pad, they hit the pad and release Praxova and Spitsova.
Yeah, Praxova and Spitsova, 17th in that Olympic test event, 13th here back in January. They were 5th in the under-23 Euros in that race within a race, both 19 years of age, born within 5 weeks of each other, and now they follow this Slovakian charge.
It's a beautiful, smooth Kreisel from Praxova Spitsova. And nicely into 8, is putting together a great run here, these two. As they should finish just outside the medals in the Nations Cup this morning, in 4th place as they come up to the labyrinth. 12-13, little skin into 13, but deal with it nicely, and a power slide into finish curve. That's going to scrub a ton of time off that uphill curve. So now they've got to lie as flat as possible as they cross the finish line, hit the pad, and open up the proceedings with a 1:37.682.
Yeah, you can see the disappointment there, that mistake. We could see it so clearly. They know all about it. We can take a look at it, the replay of the runs here. Slovakia get us underway. It feels great, doesn't it, to have the season underway as well? Something so exciting about it. But let's take a look back at that.
You know, Dave, Praxova Spitsova on that last run, they were putting together a beautiful run, and just that mistake in finish curve, as you see Vavacek Smee getting thrown up high in the air, but this is that power slide into Zeal curve. Thing is that when you're going uphill, it's a massively uphill curve, probably the steepest curve on the tour. And once you lose that speed, you just can't get it back.
Still see the disappointment there, the sort of rueful smiles. 137.682. It's the Poles next, Chmielewski and Gankaczyk. We've already seen them go. They won the Nations Cup event earlier on. 14th in that Olympic test event. Chmielewski, the veteran who previously partnered Kuba Kowalewski in 2 Olympic Games. This a new partnership with Michał Gankaczyk. Let's see how they go. Important to get this start right.
Been incredibly good sliding from Gankaczyk, who has stepped into, as you say, Kowalewski and Chmielewski. You know, they were together for so long, and to step in Olympic year and be sliding the way they have been, winning gold in the Nations Cup this morning. Just great sliding as Poland goes straight into the green. As they exit Kreisel, very smooth line round Kreisel, and a nice 8-9. Not getting bumped away from 9, as we say, 9, the signature curve, 9-10. As you can see, it's almost one curve put together, but it's actually 2 as they get into this very tricky labyrinth section, just bumping onto 13, but they handle that beautifully by staying relaxed on the sled. This should keep them in the green as they cross, sit up, hit the pad, and release Domovic.
Yeah, Domovic, the 23-year-old, the student, they're both students, Pivkoska and Domovic, 5th in the girls' doubles at the 2020 Youth Olympics. They've shown some form, 12th in that Olympic test event. They were top 10 after the first run, and they've started well here.
Yeah, that Olympic test event, I think, for them was a real highlight to start the season. And again, Nations Cup this morning as well for Chmielewski. So Poland on a really good road here, staying in the green. As you see, they link that 9-10 transition just beautifully. As we get to the entrance to 12-13. Again, just going a little onto 13, but handling it beautifully. Big skid going into finish curve, but they managed to just stop the skid enough. I think they're going to stay there, but they've got to stay flat, sit up right at the last minute, and they do, into first place. Poland with a 1:35.869.
Yeah, the Slovakian team watching on, but they knew after that mistake down in the labyrinth that was going to happen, I think. So the Poles do move into the lead. All smiles from them. Of course, there'll always be conversations about things that you can improve, but it was notable to see how the women's doubles team dealt with that skid. And actually, it was something similar to Slovakia, but they just dealt with it so much better, didn't they? There's the touch and the changeover. Of course, still early moments in the season as well. Things are going to go wrong.
Absolutely. And you look at the changeovers as well with the pad. You know, for a lot of these athletes, they don't get a chance to practice this that often. If they have a home track, maybe they'll set up a session where they can train on the pad. But for a lot of these athletes, they maybe hit that pad 8 or 9 times in a season, if that. So a lot of them are figuring this out on the fly.
Now then, Latvia 2 go next. Bots and Pluma, Upita and Pavlova. Bots and Pluma had an interesting time in that Olympic test event. They were 5th after the first run, then 13th in the second. They lost time at the bottom of the course. Good form here at Wintenberg last season. Bots from Sigulda, the hotbed, of course, of Latvian luge. Pluma based in Baltazes. Second last year in the World Cup overall standings. These two high class. Let's see if they can stay in the green and set it up for Upita and Pavlova.
Big, powerful starters, Bots and Plume. World Championship silver medalists in Whistler last year. And Bots and Plume have had a wonderful season last year. I know they've had a very, very good summer, as do all the Latvians with their fantastic program they've got set up, just bumping onto the entrance of 4. That sets them up very nicely for 5. Very slow top section on this very tricky Wintenberg course, and you can see the ice just starting to frost up. It's losing its sheen, so these start positions are going to be really important. But Bots and Plume putting together those workman-like runs that we saw all of last season.
Yeah, 4th in the men's doubles in Beijing, bronze there in the team relay. They've had some big World Cup wins. We're getting to real class acts here. No surprise to see them in the green so far. See if they can keep up this form as Upita and Pavlova wait to take over. Upita vastly experienced, even though she's only 25 years of age. Pavlova, the newcomer, at just 17 years of age.
Little
Latvia
mistake
to
in
go.
start curve there from the Latvian women's doubles pairing. You just saw them bump on, get knocked away, but again, if you can drive in Sigulda, you can drive anywhere in the world. So you're fixing those mistakes. We talk about survival skills in this sport, and those survival skills are so well honed on a track like Sigulda.
I love your luge catchphrases. We're going to be getting used to them over the course of the season. If you can drive in Sigulda, you can drive anywhere. They're driving pretty well here.
It's a nice smooth labyrinth. There's that tricky entrance into finish curve, just going a little early but dealing with it beautifully. They're going to carry this across the line, I'm pretty sure. Waiting to the last minute, 135.078. That's Latvia into first place.
Yeah, that's really good as well, isn't it? That was quick from Latvia. All smiles from them. So, big challenge coming next, though, as we'll see in a moment. But let's look through this, Mark.
Yeah, this start curve, this is Botsam Plume. Just bumping on a little early, but these guys are so good. They have so much experience. And you see them waiting right to the last minute to hit that pad. Some athletes hit it with one hand, some make sure by using two. It's personal preference, but you just see that 9-10 transition there, almost getting tipped over. I didn't spot that in real time, but that could have been disastrous for Latvia too. But again, those survival skills, absolutely top draw.
All smiles, big smile in particular from Madara Pavlova. Now then, Austria 2, Stoy and Kindle, Egler and Kip. This is high class. Fourth here in Wintenberg last season. World Cup overall champions, 23-24. Two remarkable athletes, these two. Let's see if they can lay down a marker.
You know what, Dave, it comes to something when you're an athlete like Wolfgang Kindl and you're in Austria 2 and not Austria 1. That just shows the depth that this Austrian team has got. Austria just having such an incredible past few seasons, really becoming such a dominant nation again in the sport. Not that they ever left. Just bumping on early to start curve there. Stoy Kindl. Thomas Stoy, Olympic bronze medalist with Lorenz Koller. And you think that when a pairing like that breaks up, it's going to take a while for them to get to be world class again. But Wolfie Kindl just jumped on the back of Thomas Stoy's double sled, and they picked up where they left off with some of those World Cup podiums last season. 9-10 looking good there from Stoy Kindl. Here we go into the labyrinth. That's 12-13. This is the smoothest we've seen so far. Lovely unroll from Kindl to make sure they're not going too early to the finish curve as they lie flat last minute.
The time is outstanding, isn't it? Here come Egler and Kip, back-to-back world champions in women's doubles in Altenberg and Whistler. They should back this up. Let's take a look at the start.
That tricky curve 4 again, catching out Egel Kip, and you know, as a team, they're such a dominant women's doubles team, and it shows that curve 4 for the doubles is such a tricky curve and such a banana skin on this track.
But they're cruising at the moment in terms of the time. Split's really good here from Egler and Kip.
A little high in the entrance, 12 there, but they're holding on to it. Great save from Kip there as she throws back the shoulders. Coming through the finish line, let's hope they keep in the green. They do. Oh, by almost half a second. Take a bow. Austria 2.
Yeah, they can only watch and laugh and smile at the brilliance, and they will appreciate the brilliance of that save. It was so clear to see, and it didn't seem to cost them that much time. Outstanding run from both of them.
And you know, they had such a lovely curve 11, beautiful flat line, but just dropped out and just got bumped away from curve 12. And once you do that, you're playing catch up because those labyrinth curves come so fast, one after the other after the other. You see just hanging on to the end of 13, a little bit of a skid into the finish curve, but dealing with it beautifully. You see them go here, they're still carrying a ton of speed despite that mistake in the labyrinth.
Takes some doing to maintain the speed like that with a big mistake. So Austria 2 lead from Latvia 2 from Poland and Slovakia. Now Romania go next. Two big hitters going early. Because even though it might be Latvia 2 and Austria 2, we will all learn over the course of a season that that's still extremely high standard. Forget the two in brackets. Romania, Gitlan and Serban, 5th in Beijing in 2022, 20th in that Olympic test event, 18th here in January. And they go for Romania.
As you say, Dave, it's such a high quality field. Curve 4 working out pretty nicely for them with that early entrance. They seem to miss out the whole of the curve as they go into 6, smooth out of 6 into the Kreisel, the Veltins Kreisel, another one of the many signature curves on this track. Smooth into 8. And now 9. As you see this yellow-orange telegraph pole, just can't see it there, but that's the steering point for these athletes. As they're putting together a beautiful smooth run here. This is the nicest labyrinth we've seen. Middle into the finish curve, but that sets them up very nicely. What a smooth run from Gitlan Serban.
Stramaturaru and Manolescu, who wait over a second behind, but the 40-year-old Stramaturaru in her 3rd full season with Manolescu after giving up the singles. And Manolescu, a luge soldier as they call them, here as her partner.
And Raluca, I mean, she's been in this sport for so many years, so much experience. And when you take that single experience, jump on top of a double sled, when you have those years of experience, those multiple Olympic finishes, finish a 7th place finish, Pyeongchang Olympics, a huge highlight for her. Big skid into 13 and power slide into the finish curve. But managing still to carry a bit of speed, showing every bit of that experience. Now keep it together, Raluca. She sits up, hits the pad, over the finish line, back into 4th Romania. 2.5 seconds back from that imperious run from Austria 2.
Yeah, you could almost sense the disappointment in the body language there. Although all smiles, of course aware that we're still very early on in the journey of the season.
And that communication between the doubles so important. You know, when they're fixing mistakes, it has to be instinctive. They have to know what the other one is doing exactly to the thousandths of a second. You see them just skidding out here, dropping the feet, dropping the anchors, just making sure, stabilizing the sled. When you drop your feet, it costs you a little bit of time, but it does stabilize the sled and keeps you going and keeps you shiny side down.
The challenge of singles, not enough for these athletes. They need the extra communication issue as they hurtle down this track. I think me and Mark need to talk about the sort of characters involved at some point.
They're unique.
Extraordinary people. Ukraine next. Igor Hoy and Nazary Kashmar, 19th in that Olympic test event that I keep referencing, but there's a bit of cynicism around some of the positioning in that. What athletes do and don't want to do. They certainly wanted to get a feeling of Milan Cortina, that's for sure. So Hoy and Kashmar to lead them off here. See what kind of start they can produce. Such an important part of the whole process, this. Now the explosion.
Just going down the right-hand side of the ramp, that's not great for them. You want to be a little bit further left so you can cut into that start curve. They made a great save there, straight away down the start ramp, back by just 0.2 of a second at this point from Austria 2.
Well, Austria 2 were very, very quick, weren't they? So see what Ukraine can do in this section, Mark.
Putting together a very clean run here. We go through 9-10. Lovely 9-10 connection there. Those two curves so close together, they almost make up one curve. Nice peak in 12-13. That's a beautiful labyrinth from Ukraine. come out of the Zeal curve. Just a little tap on the left wall. Is that going to cost them? Crossing the finish line and releasing Stetskiv Mo.
Yeah, Stetskiv and Mo, 10th here in Wintenberg in January, 13th in that Olympic test event. It's a good run that from Hoy and Kaczmar. Let's see what Stetskiv and Mo can do.
Every last bit of time out of these curves. Smooth round 11, that's a nice transition. Just bumping on though. Managed to save that mistake out of 13. As they come up through that Zeal curve, just tapping that left wall again, set up a bit of a resigned hit of the bag to stop the clock in a 1:36.371.
Yeah, so fourth for Ukraine. Plenty of excitement around. Latvia 1 coming next. Smiles from the Ukraine team. It's funny, isn't it? After the long wait for everything to get underway. I know we had the Olympic test event, I know we had the Nations Cup this morning, but it bursts into life so quickly, doesn't it? And it's a sport that hurtles by.
No, there's nothing like a World Cup, and especially the World Cup opener. And Stefan Piper, the track boss here, Hans-Jürgen Kohner, the organising committee leader, they've done such a great job at such short notice to give us a world-class field of play for this opener in Wintenberg. And Wintenberg not known for its good weather.
Now then, Sevic, Mikhelsevic and Lucas Krast to go. A place ahead of Bots and Plumer in that Olympic test event. They didn't finish their second run here at Wintenberg last season. They've been 15th after the first run. European Championship bronze in Sigulda in 2023 when Latvia had silver and bronze. Fourth in the men's doubles in the World Championships in Altenburg. These two very good.
Well, we've got a real battle, inter-team battle here between Latvia 1 and Latvia 2. Both, like I say, such high-class athletes, and only 200ths back at that split from Austria 2. This is going to be tight.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth there. Not much difference between these Latvia sleds, and there will be an awful lot of competition between them, won't there?
It really will. That inter-team competition is sometimes more intense than the competition with other nations, being the best in your nation. Little skid into 14 there. We're seeing a lot of people skidding into 14. It's a very tricky section for the doubles because the curves have come so quickly at nearly 130, 135 kilometers an hour.
And it's Marta Roberts-Nitsa and Katia Bogdanova, 6th in the Olympic test event, 5th in Wintenberg in January. They go very well down this course.
Definitely a younger team, but they've come up from the junior ranks and they're really looking so comfortable in the World Cup now. And they're picking up a bit of time, just back by a 10th.
Really good run, this isn't it from them.
This is going to be close between the two Latvian teams, but that skid's going to cost them. Sideways into the finish curve, high in the entrance. That is disaster for Latvia 1. Still trying to keep it together at the finish curve as they hit the paddle into 4th place for Latvia 1.
And when you consider, Mark, with that mistake that then was compounded by others, and they still finished 4th, what they've just given away, because they were flying down there.
Take the words out of my mouth. They were absolutely charging down that course, weren't they? And everything looked so good right up until that exit 12, and they just had that little skid, and it just compounded into that huge power slide into the finish curve. See them just sliding around 13 there, then feet down the curve into the finish curve, and you see them almost go up to the roof in the entrance here. Big plume of ice coming out the back of the sled, doing a very good job to stop it from hitting the roof there, just driving hard down, but they're going to be so disappointed with that.
The recovery skills truly remarkable, because they were seemingly done for there. Now then, I think you might have to talk us through Italy, because Italy, very much with due respect to the athletes here, do not have their A-team here, do they? Because they've decided to go and focus on Milan Cortina and try and get themselves used to that. It is such a big year for Italian winter sports. Of course it is. Brunner and Weissensteiner, who were 16th in that men's test event, behind Rieder and Keinswaldner and Nagler and Malea, 4th in the Nations Cup earlier. They lead off here for Italy.
And there's a few familiar names on this team. Weissensteiner, Manuel Weissensteiner, son of Gerda Weissensteiner, Olympic great in women's bobsleigh and women's luge, Olympic medalist in both those disciplines. And I'm sure that these genes run deep in this family, because in this part of the world, in South Tyrol, the sliding is part of the culture. And this young Italian team, I mean, what a great opportunity for them in Olympic year to be starting the World Cup, just to be part of the conversation. You know, when you've got such high-class athletes, little wobble through 13-14, but again, handling it beautifully as they come out of the finish curve. It's a nice straight shot towards the pad, and just 6/10 back as we release the next team.
Yeah, Nadia Falkensteiner and Annalena Huber, 9th in the test event for the Olympics, 9th here in Wintenberg last season as well. Can they get themselves going? They've already picked up a little bit of time. Austria 2, remember, still in front. Outstanding run from them, but some big guns to come. The Germans yet to come. Austria 1 lie in wait.
We go into 9, very smooth rise of this team. A little skid into 12. That don't see that very often. Just keeping it down and keeping it together. It's a good entrance to the finish curve. Going to pick up some time here through this very steep uphill finish curve. Crossing the finish line, hitting the pad, back into bronze medal position for this very young Italian team.
Well, you'd have to say, that's an outstanding run from both of them, isn't it? Into bronze. A reminder that Italy, I don't want to sound disrespectful and say sort of fielding a B squad or something like that, but that's effectively what it is. And that's excellent from them.
Yeah, I think that depth that we're seeing now, especially for a country that hasn't had a track for so long, and you've just got to think in the next few years when they start running youth programs and what have you out of Cortina, how Italian luge is just going to become even more dominant.
Yeah, the boost the Olympics give you as a country, it's going to make a huge difference.
Bouncing onto the entrance, but again, dealing with that very nicely, Falkensteiner and Huber. And just on a perfect line through the finish curve there. Beautiful shot that as they're going through those blue track markers. Both teams just 6/10 of a second back, and bronze medal position in their first World Cup.
Now then, don't think these two need that much of an introduction. But for new viewers, we will of course introduce them, the two Tobys, the Bayern Express, Wendel and Alt. Doubles gold at 3 straight Olympic Games. Last season, their 6th overall World Cup win. They are staggeringly good. And they go, and they'll be backed up by Jessica Degenhardt and Cheyenne Rosenthal. This is Germany 2, and it's mega strong.
Yeah, I mean, 6 gold medals each, 6 Olympic gold medals each. That is a lot of hardware in this Bavarian team. As you say, the Bayern Express, the Tobys, and straight into the green, as we've come to expect over the last 20 years. And not just by a little bit of that, split by 6/100ths. That's going to multiply as they go down the track. But the Tobys just so experienced on these German tracks. Germany down to 3 tracks at the moment with Koenigsegg out of commission. When you've got 4 different tracks with 4 different personalities and driving styles, you create teams like this, just absolutely dominant in this.
Let's see the time as they change over. Clean lines from the two Tobys. Just lost a bit of time. So over to Jessica Degenhardt and Cheyenne Rosenthal. It is very, very tight. The police officer and the sports soldier here, and Rosenthal based here in Wintenberg. This her home track.
Yeah, Degenhardt, Rosenthal. Degenhardt took out the Youth Olympics title when women's doubles made its debut, and she's just gone from strength to strength, this team. And they're closing up on this Austria 2 team, just a tenth ahead. So this next split's going to be very interesting into the labyrinth. It's all to play for, just bumping onto 13. Little power slide into the finish curve. That may cost them. But it looks like they may have enough speed. This is going to be telling as they hit the pad over the line, dropped a bit of time, but into first place.
And look at Germany that, look what it means straight away. Boy, their competitors, Wendel and Aal, look at that. First event of the season, they punch the air, they know they've piled the pressure onto Austria 1 and Germany 1, who come next.
And you know, I think when a team wins gold medals on a pretty much weekly basis throughout the season, maybe it doesn't mean so much, but you just see the competitive fire is still very much there for the Tobies.
That's what the good ones do. They get to the top, and staying there is the hard bit. Now then, the touchpad is going to have to be changed here, which is fun. So we'll have a minute or so delay until, well, it's good to build up to it, until Austria 1 and Germany 1. Must be just a slight glitch with it.
Degenhardt, Rosenthal into the finish curve. How much will that cost them when Austria 1 and Germany 1 go? So this labyrinth is such a tricky part of the track. You leave curve 9, and then it's like you've got rockets on the back of your sled as you accelerate from 110 kilometers an hour all the way up to 130, or in the men's case, close to 140. 85 miles an hour.
Tell you what, the story there as well was Degenhardt and Rosenthal were very, very quick. They really did seal that deal when you saw those splits. Now then, Yannick Müller, Armin Frauscher, along with Lina Riedel and Anna Lerck. 8th in that test event, Müller and Frauscher. 3rd here in the World Cup race in Winterberg in January. Müller, the police officer, races both singles and doubles. Frauscher transition from singles to doubles. Lead off this Austria 1 team for the standard set by Germany 2. Only 2 teams left now. We get right down to the business end. This mixed doubles, the opening event of this World Cup season. Can Austria 1 respond? Let's look at the start first of all.
Big, powerful start there, but straight into the red. Firstly, let's welcome back Armin Frauscher after that horrible injury he got in Beijing last season. Broken arm in the World Cup finals. But it's great to see you back, Armin. And looking like you haven't lost any of your touch. Austria 1 just dropping back a little bit in the red here, though. Entering into the labyrinth. Smooth labyrinth, little sideways, but keeping it straight on into the finish curve. Going uphill, this is going to be interesting. Little tap on the right wall.
They didn't make up the time, and it's Lina Riedel and Anna Lerck who go now. The older of the Riedel-Lerck pairings. Bronze at the Winter Youth Games in Gangwon in 2024. Behind their sisters. They won the Nations Cup event earlier. Can they translate that here? They can't. Not at the moment anyway. There is time here to make up. Germany 2 absolutely flew down.
Half a second back at that split. This is going to be very tough, but they're not losing any more time. So this is where they've really got to throw down. This is for all the marbles. They've really got to make sure that they make this labyrinth absolutely perfect. It's caused so many of our athletes so many problems, so there is time to be found. That is one of the best labyrinths we've seen under huge pressure. A little close to that right wall. Just outside the medals, Austria 1, 7/10 back.
So
But
still
what a competitive field this is.
fantastic, isn't it? Germany 2. Germany 2 lead with Germany 1. The only team who can beat them now. Highlights here of Austria 1's run. Just didn't quite have it.
See that beautiful aerodynamic form there as they exit Kreisel and then up the finish straight, staying flat as long as they can, because as soon as they set up, it's like putting on the air brakes. So these athletes are trying to lay flat as long as they can and wait as long as possible until they smack that pad to open up the gates at the top.
This is why it's
See
great
the
to
right
have Mark.
foot there, showing where the athlete's steering.
That's why it's great to have Mark alongside me, giving us details about sitting up and hitting the pad, things that just to a casual viewer wouldn't even have occurred to you. It seems so natural. Now then, here we are. Germany 2 lead. This is Germany 1. Toni Eggert and Florian Müller. Eggert, one of the most decorated ever doubles athletes. Olympic medalist, 11-time world champion. Came back from retirement along with his new co-pilot Müller. Let's see what they could do. 5th at Wintenberg last year, 5th at the World Championships in Whistler. What can the Germany 1 pair do here?
Very smooth start curve there from Germany 1. Again, you think Florian Müller stepping into the shoes of Beneken after Eggert Beneken dominating for so many years, but he just jumped on this sled and it's business as usual. Eggert Müller just back by a 10th, not costing them a huge amount of time. Plenty of time to be found through this labyrinth. We've seen so many of these teams have some trouble. It's a little bit of a skid into 13, big skid, and they're on their side. They're trying to try and get it back on the runners, but that's disaster for Eggert Müller.
Yeah, it was more than trouble because their teammates wait, but they're done for here. Eidberger and Machina waiting for the gates to open, but Germany 1 come a cropper. Eidberger and Machina frustrated. What drama here, Mark?
Well, you don't expect to see that, do you? I mean, you can see the resignation on Diana Eidberger's face as she saw the gates fail to open. Hopefully the boys are okay. Toni Eggert, Florian Müller just flipping out of 13 there. It looked like they were going to save it, but they just, once those double sleds, the center of gravity is so much higher than on a single sled. Once they start to tip, you just can't get it back.
Well, we saw in the course of the various runs, we saw that nearly happen on a few occasions. It makes you all the more impressed by the saves that we saw when you see just what can go wrong. So, what a fascinating start to the season, of course, with so much still in front of us. And there's the news that we were hoping for. They both certainly look shaken by that, but they both look okay as well, Mark.
Yeah, it just always takes a while to get a double sled out of the track because these athletes are strapped to the sled. And you just see them starting to slide into 13 there. That's their mistake. That G-force just picking them up on the end. And when that happens, you're a passenger. You are no longer driving the sled. You see him doing everything he can to save it, Toni Eggert, but not to be this time.
So talk us through the error
everything
there.
They can to get the sled back on the runners. And this big uphill finish curve, if you crash there, it takes a while to get out of there. You've got to remember they've got no grip on their feet whatsoever in these race boots either.
So,
well, there is the winner's circle. Germany 2, Austria 2, Latvia 2.
yeah, Austria 1, Italy and Poland making up that top 6. So a win from the mixed doubles for Germany 2, Austria 2 and then Latvia 2. A great run that was from Germany 2, and the shock in terms of the podium at the end. Germany 1 failing. Latvia 1, Ukraine, Romania, Slovakia making up that top 10, and, well, the DNF obviously next to Germany 1. All smiles for Germany too. Tell you what, when you're a winner, you're just a winner, aren't you? And that's just a great performance from Wendel and Alt and Degenhardt and Rosenthal. What a great start to their seasons as well. Smiles for Latvia too as well.
President of the FIL, just handing out the flowers here. Latvian president of the FIL. So great to see Latvia on that podium. But as you say, Dave, winning is a habit, and especially for this dominant Germany 2 team, they just keep winning.
So there's the presentations. They have their flowers, they have their bouquets. They also have a long weekend in front of them. There's a big announcement. Big relief as well. Get a first win under your belt. They all look nice and calm, don't they? They know they've got work to do this weekend as well. The men's and women's doubles coming up tomorrow, the team relay on Sunday, amongst the rest of the drama here potentially. So there's the points in terms of the World Cup. Of course, after only one race, Germany 2 lead, Austria 2, Latvia 2. Well, you know all of this because you've just seen the standings for the first race. My prediction is that table's going to get more interesting after we've had more races throughout the course of the season. But there you go. That's how the mixed doubles World Cup standings look after our event in Wintenberg here.